All right, hello everyone. My name is Dustin Kunkel, and I am with the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. I'd like to welcome you all today to the webinar, Using Instagram to Promote Your Small Business. We're glad you could join us, and we hope that you'll receive some great takeaways today as you consider how to use Instagram to grow your business and tell your story. Very quickly, I'd like to introduce you to our organization, the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. Our center, along with over 1,000 other SBDC centers nationwide, offers free consulting, practical training, and business resources to small businesses with help from the Small Business Administration. Our local corporate sponsors also include El Paso County, City of Colorado Springs, Park State Bank and Trust, Connect to Dot, Ent Business Banking, Minority Business Office, and Vectra Bank. After this webinar, if you are interested in meeting one-on-one with an SBDC consultant or attending additional workshops or webinars geared towards small businesses, please visit our website at pikespeaksbdc.org to get started. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you will receive an email following the presentation with a link to the recording. Additionally, in today's webinar, you will see an attached copy of the slide presentation, which also includes links and videos and resources from today's presentation. We encourage you to download a copy of that file before the end of this webinar. And then after the webinar ends, you will receive an automated email with a video recording and link to the handouts. This allows you to go back and view the webinar as often as you would like. So I'd now like to introduce you to today's webinar presenter, Carrie Kintz. Carrie has been a social media consultant for over a decade and is the owner of Milan Communications, and she will be sharing more about herself shortly. Carrie will be sharing with us for about 1 hour today, and then we will have a few minutes at the end to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to type out your questions during the webinar, but we will answer all of them at the end. So thank you for joining us today, Carrie.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Dustin. I really appreciate it. And I am excited to be here with you all today to talk about Instagram for small business. And like Dustin mentioned, I own my own business called Milan Communications. But I also just wanted to take some time to introduce myself to you guys. So I'm a Midwest native. I grew up in Iowa, but I've lived in the Springs for 20 years. And like Dustin mentioned, I've been in marketing and PR and social media for more than a decade. So as I was telling him earlier, I've pretty much made almost every mistake you can make in social media. And so I like to share that information with other people and help them tell their best story, but also avoid mistakes. And like I said, I own my own business. I've been in business for 4 years and love working with nonprofits and small businesses to really help them maximize the small budget that they may have to tell their best story and connect them with the right audience. So we are talking today about my favorite social platform, which is Instagram. I love it, so I am excited to dig into that. But my favorite analog pastime is reading. So if in the question and answer time anybody else wants to throw in book recommendations, I am 100% down with that. So today we're going to talk about Instagram. It's a huge platform. It has a lot of potential, but like with most social media platforms, it can feel really daunting and it can feel really overwhelming. So before we get started, even though I can't see all of your beautiful faces, what I want you to do is take a deep breath, like a literal deep breath, and let it out and just take the pressure off yourself. And today, if you walk away with one takeaway, one practical piece of advice that you can implement for your small business, that's going to be a win. We're going to cram a lot of stuff into 1 hour. So I hope that you are ready. I'm going to try and go as slow as I can in some places to focus on certain aspects. But like Dustin said, these resources are available afterwards. And so I really encourage you just to go back and to listen and also to do your own research to see what will fit best for you and your business. So let's get started. Just a few statistics. You're probably wondering why there's a picture of an egg on this slide, but just a few statistics for you is that Instagram is second only to Facebook in terms of usage. It's a huge social media platform. When it got launched in 2010, people just jumped on it. And so it has 1 billion monthly users, which is crazy. Side note, Instagram is also owned by Facebook. So maybe that's why. 64% of 18 to 29-year-olds use Instagram every day. So that's a huge audience of young people who probably have some extra money to spend, but they're on this platform and they're looking through, they're following people, they're creating an experience for themselves. And it's an audience that a lot of advertisers and a lot of businesses really want to connect with, and this is where they are. Instagram also has 2 million monthly advertisers. And so we're not going to get a whole lot into Instagram advertising, but it's an important piece of data for you to know, just in case you decide to jump into that end of things later on down the line. And then, like I said, here's the egg. Okay, so the people who started this account, world record egg, okay, their whole goal was to get more likes on Instagram than Kylie Jenner's picture of her daughter Stormi. Like, legitimately, that's the reason why this whole thing started. And they beat it, and it has 53 million likes. It's a picture of an egg, guys. This is the world we're coming into, right? Yay, Instagram. Are you excited yet? Because I know I am. So, engagement statistics. This is really important because you absolutely want to know why you're engaging on Instagram. And so I'm going to actually pull up my slides so that I can see where we're at. 1 second. All right, so posts that have a tag for another Instagram account get 56% more engagement. So what does that mean? When you post something and you actually tag another person on it, your post sees more engagement, up to 56% more engagement than if it had no tag of another profile in it. Posts with at least one hashtag get 12.6 more engagement than a post without any hashtag. And hashtags are actually a really important piece of Instagram culture. They started on Twitter, but Instagram really took it over, and you can actually add up to 30 hashtags in a post, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I thought this was really interesting, especially for small businesses, that posts with a location tagged in it get 79% more engagement. So as a small business, if you have a brick and mortar store, or you have a pop-up store, you're a food truck, or you're at an event, those kinds of things, you can tag your location when you share in your stories and on your feed, and those posts are more likely to be engaged with because people are more likely to click on that tag and see where you're located. They can also see if people have visited you before, what they're saying about you, and so that location tag is really important. 68% of millennials are on Instagram. Again, it kind of goes back, some of that back half statistic on the other slide was Gen Z, but a significant portion of 18 to 29, it's still millennials. And there are a lot of millennials who have some capital to spend, and Instagram is one of the platforms that they use to figure out who to buy from, who to follow, how they want to curate their life. And so that's a really important target audience. And then finally, engagement on Instagram is 10 times higher than engagement on Facebook. So engagement meaning a double tap on a photo to like it, or watching stories, or clicking on the link in your bio, all of those things. So these are just important statistics to kind of keep in the back of your head as we go into how Instagram can really work for you. And as we go through this, please make sure to put your questions in the Q&A box, because I will try and answer as many as possible towards the end. And then a few quick business statistics. So 25 million brands are currently on Instagram, with 80% of Instagram brand or profiles following at least one brand. So as Instagram users, we're following at least one brand, whether we want to buy from them or whether we have an emotional connection to that brand, whatever it is. Per Forbes, 90% of the top 100 brands in the world have an Instagram profile, so 90 brands. So clearly they see Instagram as a great platform, something worthy of time investment and monetary investment, and that's a really important thing. 60% of Instagram users discover new products on Instagram. I can absolutely attest to this. I am not ashamed to tell you that I bought a flat iron off of Instagram. I follow an account called the British Book Finder. I love her. She lives in England, and she goes to all of these old bookstores and finds these amazing books. I've bought several books from her, and all because I follow her on Instagram. So the visual enticement on Instagram really plays into helping people make decisions about what they want to buy, but also those impulse buys. I can tell you some of those old books were totally impulse buys. 1/3 of Instagram users have used their phone to purchase a product. Again, I can raise my hand to that. I clicked, the promotion and it took me to the website and I followed it all the way through to make my purchase. So if you're selling something, even if it's a service, Instagram can be a really great way to connect with your right audience. And then 1 out of 3 of the most viewed Insta stories are from businesses. So Instagram stories are really a place that people are connecting with brands, connecting with businesses, and they're watching to kind of see not just what they sell, but who are the people behind these brands, who are the people behind these stores. And so as we get into Instagram today and we talk about how it can work for you, keep in mind that Instagram isn't all about selling. It really is about marrying personal connection, personal stories, your face, your brand, your service with your feed and with, solving problems that you think your product or service can help solve for your right customer. So Instagram profiles. I'm going to go through this really quick in case you haven't set one up. I want to walk you through a little bit what this actually means. So on your screen, you'll see a picture of the Instagram logo. I did have the opportunity to go and visit Instagram and Facebook last summer. It was a really cool experience. That's the big camera that sits outside campus, and we learned a ton about what actually makes a good Instagram profile and kind of just tips and tricks to make your Instagram profile stand out from others. So this video here is going to play. I recorded this from my phone, just so you know. So right here, I'm going to pause. I've clicked the edit profile button in my profile. And when you go to Instagram, it'll open up into a stream of the people that you're following. And then you go to your profile by clicking your profile picture in that lower right-hand corner. So I want to edit the information in my bio right up here. So when I'm editing my profile, whatever I put in my profile is going to show up here, okay? So here we're looking at all the buckets of information that I'm going to put in. So I've got my profile picture. Again, it's really important that you have a good profile picture for your Instagram profile, whether it's your logo, maybe you are your personal brand. I know I am, and so I have a picture of my face. I don't have a logo, but that's really important if you're looking for those key visual identifiers for people to find you easily on social media. You fill out your name, what your username is, and then you'll see in website a Linktree link there. So basically what that is this is the only place on Instagram that you can link to any sort of content, unless you have more than 10,000 followers and you can add links in your stories. But I don't have more than 10,000 followers, so this is where I link to everything. And I've got a link to this later where you can set up your own Linktree account. But basically what that service does is it allows you to create buttons to then link to multiple things in your bio, because this is a very important piece of real estate. So your website can go here. I blog infrequently, but I do blog, and so I point people to my blog posts in this link. So first of all, the first thing to know is that if you are going to get on Instagram as a business and you want analytics and you want to dig into what's working, what's not working, you want to have access to certain features, you do have to have a Facebook page, a Facebook business page, which you can see my page right up there along with a couple of other clients there. But my business page is linked to my Instagram account and is a business page. So you have to have one of those in order to get access to the business analytics. So once you've set up your Facebook business page, which Facebook has a ton of great resources on how to do that. I have a link to that as well. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you in the dark. You can figure out how to set that up, then go to Instagram and start your business account. And you'll start it and you'll connect there. Instagram also gives you the option to create the page from there. Here we have what category you can set your business to. So I put mine to personal blog. Because I blog a lot about social media, I also blog a lot about personal things. So personal blog fit what I wanted to showcase. But there's options here, but you can also see in the top you have search categories. And so let's say that maybe you're a painter, maybe you're an artist, or you're a house painter. So I typed in painter into the search engine, and you can see these options that pop up. So again, the information that you're putting in this back end here on Instagram is what's going to show on your profile. If you look at my Instagram profile, you'll see in kind of faint gray text under there, it says personal blog. So you'll want to make sure that you pick something that really identifies who you are and what you do and the services that you provide. Next, we're going to go into contact options. So this is really important because if you're a brick and mortar store, you're going to want to add your address in here. Again, when you tag location services, that kind of thing, this is going to pop up. So like 4 by Brother Luck, they have their address in there, and you can find them in maps. You can also make a reservation right from there. And that street address is really important to have in there, especially if you have a standalone store. So you fill out that information, again, just to make sure that it's valid. You can also choose an action button, and you see I'm kind of scrolling through here, a different list of functions and things that people can choose. Let's say you are a restaurant, you want to make reservations through Yelp, or you have a booking service. You can add that button into your Instagram profile so that when people visit your profile, they know how to contact you, they know where you are, and they can book a service right away. That's really important, and that's the major difference between having a personal Instagram profile and a business profile. A personal profile, you can't do any of this, but a business profile, you have all of these options open to you. And so that's why it's really important to take advantage of that. So again, just make sure to really make sure that you're creating the right calls to action and that it's really clear for you to know what your audience wants from you, and that they can get to that right information. And then at the bottom, it's private information. Again, if something goes wrong, if you advertise with Instagram, they have to send you approvals for ads and that kind of thing. Make sure that the information in the bottom is correct, so that way they have a good way to contact you. So that's all the information that kind of flows into what creates your profile. And this is called optimizing your Instagram profile. So you're making sure that all of the right information is there. You're connecting with people, connecting people with the right calls to action for your business. Okay. Next, let's talk about setting up like kind of what your profile looks on the front. So again, like I mentioned, what I filled out, you'll see here, this is what shows up. So as I mentioned, in that light gray type, there's personal blog. I have data up here as to how many profile visits I've had in the last 7 days. I can edit my profile here, promotions that I've run. These 2 things right here are only visible to me, but when friends, followers, new people visit me, they see this email button, and that's how they can contact me. Also, when I mentioned that Linktree link, here it is. And it is linkable, and so if I were to click that, it popped out with a menu. There's blogs and that kind of thing that people can connect with and read. So it's just making sure that this information looks good when they get to my profile, and then it makes sense. So like I mentioned, that promotions tab is really important. This is just kind of a snapshot. I've tested out some stuff in doing ads for Instagram and promoting a couple of posts. This is what I've spent. This is what I got. This is inactive. My active tab is blank because I don't have anything running right now. But they create a really easy way for me to see the ads that I've run. And then at the bottom, there's a button right here, as you can see, it's in blue, to create another promotion. So I can upload new creative, or I could promote an active picture that I have in one of my feeds. And then again, yeah, promote a new post. So that email button right there. So when someone hits email, that's the email that they're going to send to a message to me from, and it's going to go straight to my own inbox. You can see the subject, they can type a message, and then they can just shoot that email. So when you're putting in that contact information, it's really important to make sure that it's accurate or typed in right. I know that I have like misspelled Gmail before, even misspelled my own name. And people were like, I sent you an email. I'm like, I didn't get it. So it's just, good to make sure that it's all taken care of, that it looks good, and people can contact you, and that you're present at the place that you tell people they can reach you. So next, there's a little, in web design. They call it a hamburger. So up in that upper right-hand corner is the hamburger. And basically what you can access from there is your insights. So here I can grow my audience by creating a post. I have access to activity, content, audience. I can see who's discovered me through hashtags, who's discovered me through posts, the interactions, the actions that were taken on my account. And it's usually through this 1 week data point here. Again, this is all in that little hamburger, so I can scroll through that. This is how I can keep tabs of how things are performing. Who's my audience, that kind of thing. So your activity is the next one that I'm going to click on. So Dustin and I were talking about this earlier. It says that I use Instagram for 18 minutes as a daily average. I legitimately don't know how that's possible. Number one, I am not afraid or ashamed to admit that I love to watch stories and I love to scroll through my feed. But also even just preparing for this, I'm like, I spent way more than 18 minutes on Instagram. So, but you can, you know, Instagram gets a lot of flack for being not good for mental health. So one way that they have actually tried to combat that and tried to help people is help them monitor how much time they spend on the platform. That's what this is about. So you can set a reminder, like when you've decided, oh my gosh, I can't handle Instagram and I only need to spend like an hour on it a week. They're going to set a daily reminder for you, like, hey, you spent 15 minutes on it today. That's your daily allotment. Get out of here, right? Or notifications, just to know, like maybe you follow somebody and you only want to see their posts. You can go into those notification settings, search for their profile, turn their notifications on, and that's going to pop up in there. Also in this little hamburger, which I think I hit play, this little hamburger, so there's several other things in there, saved, name tag, close friends, all of those kinds of things. Just a couple of notes on that. So name tag, Instagram has created essentially what it amounts to a QR code. So instead of saying, hey, you can follow me at Carrie Kintz, what you can do is you can just go to your phone, you can go into that little hamburger on your Instagram profile, pull up your name tag, and somebody can grab their phone and use their camera and take a picture of it, and it'll go right to your Instagram profile. So then they can just follow you from there. You also have the option to take a picture of somebody else's name tag. As you scroll through the Instagram feed, there's a little bookmark ribbon on the right-hand side. That's where you can save photos, posts that you want to see. I have several, like I follow a lot of cooks, so I have a whole recipes saved archive, so that's where I save all of those photos. That's where you can access them. Discover people. Once you connect your Facebook and your Instagram, it's going to pull in people. Hey, did you know that this friend on Facebook is on Instagram? You can follow them. And then you can also access your Facebook page in that menu, and it'll show you, hey, you have 3 notifications also on Facebook. So those are just some things to think about as you are using Instagram, as you're filling out your bio. Again, this is what you want to tell the world about you. So just really be thoughtful about that. Think about your brand. Think about what you want people to know about you, because that information is really important as to what goes into your bio. Okay, so the bulk of the presentation that we're going to talk about today is Instagram Stories. Instagram Stories launched 3 years ago in 2016, and it has really become the prime real estate on Instagram. Now, to some people in small business where social media feels really overwhelming and very time consuming, that can feel like a lot of pressure. But on Instagram, I can tell you there's so many tools and so many ways that you can make this a really precious and really valuable piece of your business plan to get the word out about your services, your products, the things that you've created to help solve problems or to make people feel nice, or whatever you choose to do, help people fix, you know, their yards, whatever it is. Instagram Stories can play a huge and very valuable piece in your business. So let's get started. Also, apologies to all Game of Thrones fans, just if you're not over it. I know that's Kit Harington right there. Okay, so with Instagram Stories, what you want to do is when you first get into Instagram, what you're going to see at the top is you see all of these little rainbow colored circles. These are people that I follow. These are people that have done stories. So you'll see at the time that I recorded this, I hadn't done a story. So there's no rainbow around my profile picture, but there's a little Instagram logo, brand color rainbow around these people. That means they've done stories. So, and that's at the top. So again, this is the first thing you see every time you go into Instagram. See how that is a really valuable piece of content that Instagram has in front of you all the time. So let's chat about how to create a story. But first, let's talk about how we access stories, right? So I said number one. So what you do is there are 3 ways to access your stories. Like I said, when we were in that menu at the top, you saw my profile picture with the blue plus sign. You can click that. So that's way number 1. Way number 2 is actually just to swipe to the right. Okay, so you can either click your profile picture, swipe to the right, or you can go to your profile picture at the bottom. You can click your little profile picture and then you'll see your profile picture again with a little plus sign in the bottom right corner, and you can click that. So 3 ways to access stories, 3 ways to start creating content. Again, take that deep breath. Story, there's a lot. I mean, I know you just look at the bottom of that video and there's like all of these things over here, like what it is a lot, but we're going to walk through some of this to make sure that you understand, you've got a good basic understanding of stories and how to create them for your business. So, and yeah, thumbs up to you, thumbs up to me for figuring out how to get to stories. So what does it mean to create an Instagram story? So basically what an Instagram story is it is 15 seconds of content. So this is the true definition of ephemeral, right? It is ephemeral content. The stories last for 15 seconds. You can do as many as you want. And we'll talk about length and that kind of thing in a second. But also, these stories disappear after 24 hours. So you also do have the option to delete stories. So if you do a story and it gets up there and you don't like it, you can delete it. But know that you have the option to create really something that's very personal and that looks really brand correct for you. So the first place that you can go to in stories that you can create is there's types. So in create, you can type a message. In music, and I apologize for my weird desk background here. So you can create and type a message, just kind of like, text in a background. In music, you can add 15-second snippets of music to your stories. So let's say you decide to just take a photo and you want it to look really dramatic. You can add music behind it. And you can search in here. And again, just because I searched for Game of Thrones at one point, the theme song. Another option that you have for Instagram is to go live. And I'll dig into that a little bit more here in just a few slides, but I want you to know that it does absolutely, you do have the opportunity to go live. And you can go live for up to an hour. But we'll dig into what that can actually mean for your business here in just a little bit. So there's go live. And then there's just normal, where if you select normal in this corner right here, you can click it and it pops up with a menu. And that menu will be videos and photos you've taken on your camera roll in the last 24 hours. And that's a little trick that Instagram has slipped in there. They want you to share content that is really fresh, really relevant. Now, there are ways around this. Like if you have a picture from 2 years ago that you want to share for a Throwback Thursday and you can't find it in your last 24-hour content, you can screenshot it and then you can save it to your camera roll and it will pop up in your most recent 24 hours. There are ways to get around that. But really, the purpose of that is that Instagram wants you to be sharing things that are fresh and relevant and kind of in the moment. So that's what normal is. And then you can do video in normal. And this little button that you see down here that is round and white, when you go to record a video, you hold it down and you'll see kind of a loop go around of that same Instagram rainbow color, and it's 15 seconds. Or you can push it like a regular camera shutter button and just take a picture. The things that are over here, which I did not do a demonstration of this because nobody needs to see me with a bunny rabbit face on, are different like profile, weird things, filters, hearts, race car. My favorite one is actually the like old video camera, right? Like the Sony video cameras that has the date and timestamp, and it's kind of weird. So that's what those are down here if you were just wondering. Boomerang is something that Instagram created. It's those, short back and forth videos. Super zoom, the options here are ways that you can zoom in on your video. Focus just means when you have a face in a video, you can really focus it, like it's makes your face look pretty and blurs the background. Rewind is really fun. If you do something really physical, or even like maybe your kid's skateboard, you can hit rewind, it'll record it, and then when it goes into your stories, it plays the entire things backwards. It's kind of fun. And then hands-free is if you don't want to sit here like this, holding down that button, you can record for 15 seconds and just hit hands-free. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of the options that are in stories. You'll see up here flash, you know, if I turned it around, I wanted flash on. There are some settings in this gear here. And then also this arrow here is to go back to your Instagram profile. And once you're done, there's an option, there's usually an option in the bottom to hit share your story. Okay, so those are just some of the options that you have to make a really great story in Instagram. I'm gonna pause that. Okay, so one way to learn more about stories is to watch other stories. So that's one of the great things about Instagram is there are people who are using this tool and they're being fun and they're being creative, they're being serious, they're being honest. And so just watching a plethora of different stories can really be helpful to you and your brand. Learn how to use stories to really maximize their impact. So one thing is if you're doing stories, don't be afraid to make them fun. Depending on what your business is, showcase a little bit of your brand personality or your personality. Stories are really an opportunity to show some heart because people are really engaging with this platform and they're seeing what you're doing with your business in stories and they're watching. Again, 1 out of 3 of the most viewed stories are from a brand. They're from a business, so people are watching them. So in order to keep people engaged, don't be afraid to showcase who you are, what you do, your heart, your passion, the struggle, those kinds of things. Again, practice will make you better. It won't make you perfect because perfection doesn't exist. So there's only one way to get better at Instagram stories, and that's to do it. I just did one before we got started here, and it's like a plain white background, and of course I'm being kind of a goober, but you know, I mean, I want to keep doing it because I want to learn and I want to keep growing and I want to get better. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. In one session that I did, some lady was like, well, if I make a mistake, then millions of people see it. Well, that's not true. That's not true. If you make a mistake, depending on how big your brand is, it's probably true that maybe a handful of people are going to see it, maybe 50 people are going to see it. But you know what? That's life. And again, if it's too embarrassing, you do have that delete option. So never forget that. And like I said, watch stories from other brands, other followers. This video here is I just did a quick video of people that I follow. So that Jamie Golden is the host of a podcast that I listen to. Griffin McKenzie, she actually runs 2 Pure Barre studios here in Colorado Springs. I've loved following her journey. I also really love how real she is. Like, she doesn't care. This is an ad from CBS, so I skipped it. Somebody just shared a quote. This is my friend Bree. So up here you can see all of those little, I'm going to scoot that back just a second. You can see all of these little dots up here. This is how many stories she's done. I can guarantee you what she did, because she does recipes once a week, is she created a long video and then she used an app that I'm going to talk about here in just a little bit to cut it into those 15-second segments. Either she did that or she went live and then it added to her story and it cut it up that way. So she uploaded the video and you can just see, like, she added text to her video, she added a GIF, she adds music to her stories. So there, and look, it's bright, it's fun. She's, you know, making something with like butternut squash and it's gonna be really exciting. It's gonna be a recipe that I probably wanna make. But she's just her personality and she just kind of showcases it. The next one is Steffi Gregory. She runs Soul Water Coffee here in the Springs. And then my friend Haley, she was just sharing kind of like a picture from a magazine that she was talking about, and she was in a meeting and she was the only millennial, and yet she was the only person not on her phone. So those are just some examples of like people that I follow who did stories, and you can see that each one is unique and each one is suited to their brand or their personality or just what they want to share. And so there's no pressure. There's no pressure to make it a certain way. It's just figuring out what you want to sound like, who you want to talk to, and how that looks. And understand something, when you're going to create stories, they don't have to actually compete with the photos and stuff that you put in your brand. And it's actually really important to make your feed and your stories work together. I actually just recently talked with a photographer, and she said, well, I don't want like goofy images in my feed because I'm really sensitive about like the quality of photo that I share and the type of photo that I share. And I said, that's great. So make your Instagram feed, those square photos, make those they're high quality, they're beautiful, they showcase your talent as a photographer, and then use stories to show the personal side. Why are you a photographer? What got you into the business? You know, why do you take the types of photos that you take? She had created a booklet that had beautiful quotes in there. And I said, talk about why you chose these quotes. What does it mean to you? So she uses stories and her feed to really complement each other rather than compete. And the other thing is like with anything, when you're going into use stories, just figure out what you're willing to do. Planning is going to help you really figure out and make the best use of stories and make sure that it's actually working for you. And again, you have to be engaging to get engagement. So don't be afraid to, you'll see down here at the bottom, like nobody will see your messages that you send to the person, but you can engage with stories. You can respond to people and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to, you know, hey, I get it. Like I'm a millennial in a business meeting all the time and I'm the one who's not on my phone, or, you know, commiserating about whether it's hot or cold, or sending a message. You know, I sent a message to my friend Bree saying, man, I love that recipe. I can't wait to try it. So there's ways to engage. And so just really, again, identifying how you want to do that. And it also helps get your profile out there. And it shows that you're engaging and you're present on the platform. So we talked a little bit about stories, and again, keep sending those questions into the Q&A because I know that you're going to have a lot that you want to talk about with stories, because there is a lot there. But another option that goes into your stories profile is going live on Instagram. So Instagram right now has two ways to go live. They have IGTV, which on your profile is a little TV set up in the corner, or they have a separate app, or you can go live in your Instagram stories. IGTV, you can go live up to an hour. I will tell you, Instagram itself has said that they haven't seen a lot of success or really seen Instagram TV take off the way that they want it to. So really your time is probably better spent planning how you want to go live in Instagram, Instagram stories. So again, planning is really going to help. And this is, I don't know if anybody's done Myers-Briggs or whatever. I'm an ENFP. I am not a planner. I like to do things off the cuff. To me, that like procrastination and then the pressure is my favorite. But I have learned through discipline in my career that actually planning things out, you get some better results. I mean, imagine that. Isn't that weird? But planning for your Instagram stories is really important. What you want to say, how you want to say it, the effects you want to create, what's your call to action? Do you want people to buy something? Do you want people to have a conversation about something? Do you just want them to go to your profile? Whatever it is, just determine that and then create your plan around that. And the same goes for Instagram Live. So I follow Trader Joe's list because I love Trader Joe's, and she is, I love her. She was on vacation. You can't hear the audio in the presentation, but you can on the YouTube list that I shared. She was on vacation and she had no groceries, and so she had to go to Trader Joe's. And so her whole thing is to showcase, she's not affiliated with Trader Joe's, like she's not a Trader Joe's employee. She just was obsessed with Trader Joe's and decided to start documenting what she bought at Trader Joe's. And she's made a whole account out of it. I think she's got something like 100,000 followers. It's insane. Anyway, so this whole video is about her going to Trader Joe's and the great deals that she got and the new products that she found. So she's just chatting. And again, what I want you to see here is just look how real she is. Like, she's not perfectly made up. Her hair's in a messy bun. She's just in her kitchen. She's being real. She's being real. So I really want you to just like, that when I'm talking about taking the pressure off, that's what I'm talking about. Like, just be you, and figure out what your comfort level is with that. And so she goes through, as she goes through and talks about what she purchased from Trader Joe's, you can see people sending hearts, they're liking her video, as she's going live, people are engaging, they're waving. And she can see this as she's going live. So she can respond to people and say, you know, hey Blake, hey S John, you know, S John or whatever, or Jean. She can respond to those people as they're responding to her. My guess is also that she has somebody recording this video for her, which you can do. You can also get a tripod for your iPhone, you know, or your Android to record video on. You know, or you can do, again, we've all seen it, you can do this. There's so many stories taken like this, guys. I do stories like this all the time. So again, taking the pressure off and just playing with it, having fun with it. So she goes live, and like I said, you saw the engagement, you saw the hearts. You have the opportunity to send a message. So you can send a message that pops up in her live feed. So if you send a message here, it would show up, or you can direct message her. And she's going through, she's just chatting. You can tell, like, she's not, and she has admitted this in other videos, like she's not super comfortable, but she keeps going live, and she just talks about how she wants to get better. She wants to get better at this, and she's on there, and she's taking a risk, and she's taking a chance. So as you go live, just again, figure out why you want to go live. Plan to go live for like 5 or 7 minutes, because it's going to take time to build your audience. And it's going to take time for people to start engaging with what you're saying. And like I said, make sure you have the arm strength or a tripod to go live. And pretend you're talking to a friend. Pretend you're talking to like your best friend, and you just bought something or you just created something. And I mean, I get it, as an artist, sometimes as a creative, it's hard to like share your stuff with the world, or even just with a friend. But when you're on video, whether it's a 15-second story or you're going live, pump yourself up, have enthusiasm, or, you know, whatever you're trying to communicate, really get yourself into that emotion. That's what's going to make an engaging video. If you really believe in what you're talking about and that enthusiasm comes through, or that passion comes through, it's going to engage other people, and it's going to engage other people consistently. And then again, the good news is with live videos, it only stays up for 24 hours and then it gets archived. And again, I just want to emphasize, this is the good thing about having a business account. It gets archived, and then you can use it in other ways, which we'll talk about here in a second. And that's just really important. Like, you're not losing that content. You're not just making it and losing it. And so that is a really important thing to remember when you are creating content. So, as we go into stories, so maybe you've made several little like pictures and 15-second videos, or you've gone live. What I want you to know is that in a business account, you can create highlights. And this is a really great feature that Instagram has put on there. So that way, if you create a series of videos, you can choose those videos and put them all in one space on your profile, and then people can go through and watch those videos again. So while your website link is really the only place that you can link to content, and using stories and then highlighting them on your profile, you can create multiple opportunities for people to connect with your brand, connect with your story, and you can highlight the things that you really want to highlight. I think I saw in here that somebody works with a spa. So, or like I think a beauty shop or something like that. You could do highlights for like actual hair highlights, like your process to do highlights. That's always a good pun too. So that's, you know, you can play with that. Haircut styles, maybe trends, trends in makeup, trends in spa care and facials. And each one of those you can get on stories, you can create those videos and that content, and then you can create those highlight sections here on your profile. So what that looks like is you go down to your profile here, and then you'll see, I'm just going to back that up just a second. You'll see right here, this is where it's at. This is where your highlights sit. So like I had memories that I wanted to save. I did a short video series on how I was planning for 2019, whether I was going digital or analog for planners. I recommend books quite a bit. And so through my stories, I've archived and done a highlight on books that I've recommended. And then actually when I did an SBDC class on social media, I talked about what's your why. And that's really the whole thing. So to do a new one, I'm going to click on new right here. So like I mentioned, when you come in here, you're going to see all of these highlights. right? So if you scrolled up, and just really sorry about all of my face right up in your face right now, but these are stories that I've made. And so I can click and add what I want to put in my highlights. Clearly, I was really upset about some weather that we've been having lately. And maybe also a Justin Bieber song. So it's fine, guys. This is what I'm saying. You can share whatever you want. So in order to prep for this webinar, I asked a few people kind of what do they like about Instagram? Who are their favorite Instagrammers are? I also did a poll, which you can see here. I asked people, do you prefer watching Insta stories or scrolling through your Instagram feed? So I decided to make a highlight reel from these videos right here. So you're gonna see me click through and pick those videos, 1, 2, 3 right there, and add them to my highlight. And then as they go in there, I can edit the cover. Again, there's my giant noggin. So I made that the cover, and then I can name it whatever I want. So you'll want to go with something simple. As you'll see me typing out here, the title is going to be too long, so I delete it and just name it advice. So once I do that and I click add, now it's showing up in my highlights. So that is how, so that again, this is why stories are so important. It's ephemeral content that lasts only 15 seconds, but if you do a video series or you do a series of videos where you're talking about a product or an idea or something like that, you can highlight it on this real estate here. So you've got people going to your website, which is really important. They can contact you, but they can continue to engage with your brand. And that's how you make all of these things work together. So maybe you don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram. Maybe like me, you only have like 800 or even 400. You do your stories here, and then you can put in there, hey, go to the link in my bio to learn more. And then you can also see how some of the things that I do really kind of go back into what my brand is. Like I'm talking about social media here. It was Mother's Day. There's flowers. Again, you can see down here, books that I read, people that are important to me. Again, crying about the weather, all of those kinds of things. So that's why I say your stories, your feed, your bio, all of those things work together. They're not in competition. And that's why learning how to use these things are so important. So yeah, and just showing you your feed. And then right here is where it showed up, okay? And so a couple of good things to know as you're looking at the stories. Number one, I talked about it. It shows that I used focus when I made this story. The other thing down here is I tagged Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center, and I also can see how many people viewed my story. When I click more, I can dig into analytics here. The other thing that I wanted you to see as to why stories are important is this is the question that I asked. 63% of people said that they prefer to watch Insta stories. And that's just anecdotal data from my followers and from people who found my story. Only 30% in the feed. So again, stories are playing a really big piece. And then final question. So that's where it's living. And then I just wanted to show you a quick snippet of what's your why, like those sections up there. So these are things to think about as you are creating your stories, how you want to engage with people, looking at that data and making those things work together for you. So that's stories for right now. We're going to jump into feed. And then, like I said, questions that are in Q&A, I will try and answer as many of those as I can. But I really want to show you Instagram feed and how your Instagram feed can complement your stories. So let's hop right in. So with your Instagram feed, when you set up your Instagram feed at the bottom, when you're in your profile or you're just scrolling through your actual feed of other people, there's that little plus sign in the bottom. You can actually snap a photo from the app, or you can add something from your camera roll. And then once it's in there, you can add filters to it. Instagram has a gajillion filters, and then you can add your description. And it's in writing that description where you add your hashtags. So as you're thinking about your feed, again, this is where the thoughts about your brand, your look, your feel really come in. You'll notice over here, the podcast, Jamie Golden, who I referenced earlier, she is the host of one of the hosts of this. Here's what I love about the consistent look and feel. There's multiple they're not afraid to use multiple images in one image. There's things that are very on brand for them. They do a lot of recommendations. It's all about pop culture. But like you said, you just kind of see they've got a real flat lay look going on, but it's consistent. As you scroll through their feed, it feels busy, but it's actually not. It's consistent with their brand. When you're thinking about your feed and what you're going to do, figure out what you want to use for filters. There are a lot of people who don't use filters anymore. There are some people like my friend Nicole down here, Embracing Chaos. She's a blogger and an Instagram collaborator. So you can see here, she's got kind of a colder feel because these were some winter pictures. And then as we moved into spring, you can see that there's definitely a warmer feel to her pictures. So she kind of rotates filters through the seasons, and that's definitely an option. Just whatever you choose to do, be consistent with it. And then, like I said, find your niche through hashtags. You can use up to 30 hashtags per post. So what I usually recommend to clients and friends as they post is what you're talking about for your brand is really important. When you're sharing something personal is really important. I share both on my feed. So I have a group of hashtags. I have 3 sets of hashtags. Set 1 really focuses on stuff for my business. Set 2 really focuses on stuff for personal, and then set 3 is kind of a mixture. And depending when I'm posting, I just go copy those hashtags from my notes and then paste them into my caption. There are tons of tools out there that can help you find hashtags. You can even just search hashtags on Instagram. I will tell you that there are hashtags that are super overpopulated, so if you use those, your content's not as likely to be seen. But if you're using a hashtag like hashtag small business or hashtag Colorado Springs, where like people who have posted on that hashtag are maybe 1 million and less, surprisingly, your content does have more of a chance of being seen. There are several hashtags I use for mine that have probably like 250,000 and under people on it because I know that I want my content to get into those feeds. Hashtags are still a way that people search for content, so they're really important to your posts. And again, just pick those hashtags that are most important to your business. And then if you see people using hashtags that you're using, then go into those posts and start seeing what people are saying, and you go in and respond. Again, you have to be engaging to get engagement, especially on Instagram. So go through those hashtags, comment on people's posts. You don't have to sell. You just, man, if you're a photographer and you see another photographer who's taken a really beautiful picture, it costs you nothing to go on there and compliment them. So just getting in there and getting in that rhythm, it gets your name out there, but it also shows that you're a member of the social media community and you're using the tool. And so that's really important. So again, figure out your look and feel, figure out kind of what you want things to look like, what you want people to see visually when they come to your feed, when they come to your profile, figure out your filter usage, and figure out hashtags. Next, as you go through and set up your feed, figure out logo placement. You can have your logo as your profile picture, but you can also use it in different things on your posts. You know, maybe it's showcasing products, maybe it's showcasing events that you're going to. And that's one thing that I really love that both Sparrowhawk Cookware and Everyday Summit Art do. They're both local here. So Alan does a great job with products and he puts them in different places. He showcases them in different places. He's not afraid to just kind of put stuff out there that maybe, you know, slightly off color or slightly like, ha ha ha, like we shouldn't be laughing at that, but we're gonna laugh at it. But he's not afraid to push that boundary a little bit, but that's part of his brand, that's part of his edge. Lindsay, who does Everyday Summit Art, I love. She does chalk festivals. She does really incredible art. And I loved this here. She's got a video that actually she shows people how to frame and hang pictures that people have purchased from her. So again, just thinking about your process, thinking about what you want to share. Don't be afraid to show that. On your feed, whether it's your brick and mortar, whether you're painting. I mean, even just like, here's how you shingle your roof, or here, if you're planting, here's good soil to use, here's good seeds to use in our climate, those kinds of things. Just be creative. And then again, get personal. Alan rarely shows his face, but he shows a lot of pictures of his mom. And that is really, really important to him. She was a huge part of the community. She passed away a few years ago, and he still shares pictures of her. And then Lindsay does Friday introductions. She shares about herself. She shares about her journey. And again, both in your feed and in stories, you can take time to do that personal connection. And then just what does it really take to be an Instagrammer? So be engaging to get engagement. I know if that's the third time I've said it, I really want you to remember it. Don't be afraid to get out there and engage with other people in your industry, in your space, even just people who are different from you, and just really like comment and engage and have fun with it and take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to sell. Remember, you don't have to sell, but you can absolutely create connection by just being kind. And I think we can all agree that kindness is probably something we could all use a little bit more of in this world. And being on social media and being a positive force on social media is one way you can do it. Another piece of pressure to take off yourself is don't worry about the quantity of your followers, worry about the quality. And then make your feed as engaging as your stories and encourage people in your feed to visit your stories and encourage people to visit your stories from your feed. Make those things work together. Showcase real people. And that's really what Instagram is about. It is about being a community. It's about engagement. Yes, it's about beautiful pictures too, but it's also about being real. And I hope you've seen through just some of the things that we've talked about today, that there's actual real opportunity for Instagram to impact your business and for it to be a valuable tool in your tool belt for your business to connect with other people, to showcase your brand, and to really tell your story. I know that that phrase gets turned out, just said a lot, but you wouldn't have gone into business if you didn't think that you had something to share or a service to provide or even an experience to provide to people in our community. And so don't be afraid to showcase what makes your business unique and valuable and part of our community that's vibrant and growing. So I really want to encourage you with that. And then just a real quick note as we start to wrap up, I told you I would not leave you alone. I told you I wouldn't leave you floundering. I promised. And so these are some resources that I just wanted to walk through really quick. I have a whole page on my website that's locked down. The password is SBD. So you go to carriekintz.com/resources. I just want you to know these aren't affiliate links. I don't get paid or anything like that for mentioning these resources. I love them. I use them. I have found them valuable. And so I just want to pass that along to you. So one resource that is really helpful for Instagram stories and even your feed is Later, later.com. It's a Insta story scheduler, and oh my goodness, like this is, I just wanted to know where this has been my whole life. It is so easy to use. I use it for clients. I schedule their stories. We create stories together. And then we upload them into this platform, and then I schedule them and they go out that day or maybe a few days later. If you're kind of like, oh my gosh, how would I even create stories to upload to Later? Well, Buffer has created a tool, which I don't have listed on this slide, but is on resources, where they have a template for you to create stories. One thing, again, like I mentioned earlier, if you post something, you tag somebody in it, it gets more engagement. Well, one way you can share a post that you've been tagged in is through Repost. It's a great app. It has in-app purchases. It's free to download, but you can also upgrade if you want to lose some of the watermarks and that kind of thing. So just another tool in your belt for engagement. Typorama is another app that you can use on your phone. It has Instagram posts, Instagram stories, templates in there. You can get access to free photo sites. You can upload your own photos. You can add text. You can edit your photos. And it's just a really great tool to be able to use. Continual. It's one of my favorite apps for stories, because what it is you can record a really long video and then it cuts it into 15-second stories that you can then share on Instagram. And I actually just used this tool about a little over an hour ago to promote this webinar. So you can go to my profile and watch that. And then the last one I wanted to mention here again is Linktree. It's $6 a month, where you can go in and you can create all sorts of links and that kind of thing from your website and really make the most use of the one space on Instagram where you can link to something externally. If you post a link in your caption, it's going to show up as text. It's not going to hyperlink, and people actually can't even copy it because there's nothing you can do. You can't press that text enough to try and get to that website. So to make the most and best use out of that website link on Instagram, I recommend a service like Linktree. There's link in bio. There's several for various price points. And like I said, Later also has a free plan, but they also have paid as well. But for a list of resources, not just on Instagram, but on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, books to read, apps to use, go to my website, carriekins.com/resources. The password is SBDC, all caps, and just kind of filter through. There are articles to read, there are things you can find to hopefully make social media, and specifically today, Instagram, work for you. So I think with that, we can go into Q&A unless Dustin has something else.
I don't have anything else for us, but yeah, we can go into Q&A for the next few minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can actually pop this out. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So so Christina has a question. If you promoted something from Facebook, how do you track analytics on Instagram? So that is a really good question. If you do a dual promotion from Facebook, so let's say you have a post on Facebook that you promote, and the little tab on the thing is slid over to also promote on Instagram. You will see the post populate to Instagram. And then on the bottom of every Instagram post, whether it's promoted or not, it's going to say View Insights. And you click that, and it will take you to the Insights page. Also, Facebook, again, like I've used Facebook for years. Facebook sometimes still drives me crazy with all of their oh gosh, all the things that they do. But one thing that they have done really well is their ads analytics are out of this world. And they will also show you engagement for Instagram in your Facebook ad profile. So I highly recommend that you check that out as well. And tracking analytics is really important, again, when you're doing ads, but this also goes back to just when you're sharing content, what's the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? What's the call to action? Why are you choosing a specific piece of content and a specific destination, and how do all those things work together? Because then as you roll that out, whether it's organically or through an ad platform, you're going to know, based on these things that I outlined, based on my goals, this promotion really worked, or this promotion kind of tanked. So I just really want to encourage you to dig into those analytics on that. But like I said, when you go into Instagram, on every post, when you have a business profile, again, this is not personal, it's business profile, every post you share has View Insights, and then there will also be a button if you've promoted it to say View Promotions. Another way to dig into those analytics is, like I said, when you go onto your profile, there is that tab that says Promotion. And then you can click promotion, and you can then view your insights. So there's a couple of ways to access that. On the resource page, I have some links to Facebook Business, and one of them is for ads. And I would highly recommend you dig into that, because it's going to give you a really good in-depth look at what analytics looks like. Dustin had a question about, after you post a story, can you go back and edit it later? No, you cannot. So once it's out there, it's out there. So a lot of people, until you get comfortable, sometimes I'll just be honest, like I'm so sick of hearing the sound of my own voice, which would probably be surprising to some people, that I just post it because I don't care anymore. And then sometimes I just scrap the whole thing and stop because I get frustrated. So you can edit, so while you record, it's not live until you hit that little button in the corner that says your story, and that's what makes it go live. So until you hit that button, you can edit your content in that space as much as you want, but after it's live, and your only option is to delete that video. So Stories also has an option to save. So there's sometimes when you do videos or you do posts, there's going to be a little arrow that points downward with a line under it. You can save the content to your phone. But yeah, great question. Once you go live, or once you post a story live to your stories feed, it's there. So that's why the delete option is really good. One thing I wanted to mention earlier about Instagram Live that I forgot to, when you go live, what Instagram will do is it'll put their little brand colored rainbow circle around your profile, but you will also have a little bar under your picture that says live. When you just post stories, not live video, it's just that little rainbow circle. So that's kind of the difference. That's kind of the difference there. But again, I mean, these videos, I know I kind of scrolled through them as they were playing, but go back and watch them as many times as you want. Use the information here as much as you want. But I would also really, really encourage you to do your own research and just to figure out what's working for your brand, for your industry. Figure out what people are doing, figure out what you like about profiles that you follow, figure out what you don't like, and just test. For a lot of people, the biggest hurdle to get over is hitting post. And then hitting post again. But I just really want to encourage you, like I said, if you can walk out of here or leave this webinar with one practical piece or one practical next step for your business in Instagram, really do your business and yourself a favor by following that practical thing through. And then just through repetition, like with anything, you're going to get better. You're going to figure out what works. You're going to figure out what doesn't work. That's really good English there. But just test it and play with it and figure it out. The other thing is if the time feels really overwhelming to you, set yourself a time limit. Just say, hey, you know what, for a half an hour every Wednesday, I'm going to take time and I'm going to figure out Instagram stories and I'm going to play with it. Or 15 minutes every day, depending on what your schedule looks like. But make time for it and build it into your schedule. And that's how you make social media work for you. You don't work for social media, your business doesn't work for social media, but by carving out time to learn it and do it well, you make social media work for you. Another question is, can you talk a little bit about following and followers? Is there a good rule of thumb? One thing that is a huge no-no and that is really annoying on Instagram is there are people who will go and they will follow a whole bunch of people and then they will get people to follow them back and then they go back and they unfollow people. That's super annoying because all they're trying to do is build up this big follower count. And that's why I said, don't worry about the quantity of your followers, worry about the quality of your followers. So as you start to follow people and as you start to do stories, yeah, are you gonna get some spam on Instagram? Absolutely, you get spam everywhere, right? It happens. But you're gonna start getting quality people following you and creating engagement. And so I think that that's really, that is really, really important. And just a follow-up on that question is there any strategies for increasing your reach by adding any followers? Really, stories is that strategy. Because so many people watch, 500 million people watch stories daily, guys. That's how many viewers are on Instagram stories. And so Instagram stories really is the way to build up a followership. Like I've done some random stories over here the last few weeks, and I've probably gained like 15 followers from doing it. And I would say out of those 15, 9 of them are quality. 6 of them were bots. So, I mean, and that's good. So then it's just encouraging, following them back, looking at their profile. And if I want to follow them back, I follow them back, but I'm not going to follow them, have them follow me, and then unfollow them just to grow my follower count. Again, influence is a thing you steward. It's not necessarily how many people you have, but how you steward the influence with the followers you do have. So just something to think about that. And you don't have to follow everybody that follows you, but I would encourage you, as you see people follow you, at least go take a look at their profile and see if there's somebody you want to follow back. And then a question on stories. Do the stories show just to your followers or to anyone? They actually show to anyone because they are searchable. That's why, like, adding hashtags makes them searchable, adding profile names makes them searchable. They get sent out because literally you can go through like the whole gamut of just watching stories. That row up there of circles that you're going to see are going to be stories only from people you follow, but you do get your stories added to different hashtags, different events, just depending on the content that you actually put in your stories. The other thing that you can do is I showed you in that little hamburger, there's a tab in there called Close Friends. So let's say that you've noticed that you've got a group of people following you that have really become brand ambassadors for you. So what you could do is you could create a group for them in your close friends. Those ambassadors, they become your close friends. You go to create a story and it's about a new sale or a new product that you're launching and you want people to know about it. But you know what? First, you want to honor those people who have really talked positively about your business. You can still do a story, but when you go to send it, you'll see at that bottom, you can hit your story, or there's a little button at the bottom that says close friends. So you could send it to those brand ambassadors only and let them know, hey, this is only, I wanted to offer it to you first because you guys are fabulous and I wanted to give you this discount. But take advantage of it because I'm going to share this with the rest of my followers in 3 days or something like that. So those are just some ways that you can use stories and really be strategic about how you work through that. Again, I hope you find the resources valuable. I hope this was helpful for you today. And if you have questions or you have thoughts, please feel free to find me on social. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, but I'd love to learn more about what you guys are doing for small businesses in Colorado, what you're doing for your business, and how Instagram is impacting that. So thanks for watching today, guys, and I hope that you have a great day.
All right, thank you, Carrie. Wow, that was a lot of good information. And we know that in closing here, we know that you guys will probably have a lot of questions and desire some clarifications. You might even want to pull out your phone and watch it directly with a consultant that can help you go through it on your phone. The good news is the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, we are here to offer free confidential one-on-one consulting through the life of your business. We do have marketing consultants and social media consultants in the Colorado Springs area, as well as around the state of Colorado and around the nation. But specifically for the Pikes Peak SBDC, we have consultants that can meet with you for free one-on-one. So it's a great opportunity to get your specific needs met and your questions answered related to your business and your business profile. So the next step for that, if you are interested in that free consulting, is to register for consulting at pikespeaksbdc.org/consulting. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you to our sponsors that make this webinar possible. We look forward to seeing you guys next time.